Welcome back, Red Spotters! There's a bug on my computer. Hold on, what is that? Okay. Welcome back to this wonderful podcast here on Red Spotlight. I'm your host, Alexis Soto, joined by Alexis Moreno and Kyle Lira. This is the first time we're on a podcast together, just the three of us in a while, and Alexis has a question.
What number is this?
This is episode number 396.
Okay.
Yes.
396? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Somebody's got time on his hands.
396. I mean, I did say years ago to have a podcast out once a week, right? And I feel we've been keeping to that promise for a couple of years now, so I'm pretty happy about that. Episode 396. Today we're discussing Obi-Wan Kenobi, the new show on Disney Plus, brought to us by Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, Deborah Chow, of course, returning Ewan McGregor, and a whole bunch of other people. That's basically it today. We're not going to get into Stranger Things just yet. We're just going to do Obi-Wan and Star Wars. I feel Star Wars is enough for a whole episode. We'll also discuss Star Wars Celebration.
Question, are you waiting until the latter half of the season shows up? In
not
terms of Stranger
particularly.
Things?
No, not particularly. I just want to... I don't want to be here for 3 hours. Let's just be real.
Okay.
With Star Wars... We want to keep it to a 2-hour podcast, right, Kyle? That was what you asked me.
You want to be running up that hill, you know?
Okay, I get the reference. I appreciate it. But you asked of me that whenever you are on a podcast to keep the 2 hours, if I keep Stranger Things in, it will not be 2 hours. Yeah. So I am acquiescing to your request.
I haven't seen it, so...
Exactly.
Okay.
So...
All right. You see, everything solves itself out in the end.
It does. And, yes.
Something happened in the other room, but it's
we
okay.
will also be discussing Star Wars Celebration today and whatever news came out of that, and then also some of our favorite or least favorite things that came out of that whole ordeal. And then, of course, Alexis is here to discuss her recent tour of Universal Studios. We should also mention she made an appearance there, and she has apparently a annual pass holder that she brought back as a souvenir. She will keep paying for it.
A souvenir.
All right. That is our show today. Of course, as always, before we begin today, we want to remind you, of course, of Turn to Page, the Harry Potter book club-ish podcast that also dabbles into the movies, of course, hosted by Kyle Lira, created by Alexis Moreno. Guys, what are you into right now, and what's coming up next on the podcast?
Well, we're gonna pull a double shift on the next one. We're gonna record the next 8 chapters, I believe. So that's right now we're covering Chamber of Secrets. We just got done with Sorcerer's Stone, so that's fun. By the way, guys, if any of you guys hear a nasty cough, I'm recovering from COVID right now again. so apologies, all apologies, as one Kurt Cobain says. Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at Alexis's face. Like, are you kidding me? Somebody's knocking on the door behind me?
They knocked so loud. Oh my god, hold on.
Hey, we're used to it, right? I mean,
hold on.
Go ahead, Kyle. You were saying about your ordeal.
Yeah, so if you hear me coughing or doing any of the sort, let me think. Yeah, so we're going to be doing 8 chapters, roughly 8 to 9 chapters for the next few podcasts. So that's going to be...
Are you saying 8 to 9 chapters per episode?
No,
no.
Four
That's a lot.
No, yeah, I know. At that rate, we'll finish the book.
In like 2 seconds.
We
only do like 4 to 5 chapters. Well, I'm kind of making it so that we each say a chapter. So I like divide the episodes that way.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's going on right now with Two to the table.
Excuse me?
This is the wrong show, Kyle. Are you okay? Is this COVID brain? What's that?
This is COVID brain. Yeah, confusion is a symptom. So,
Wrong show. It's a couple of
turn
times
to-
already in this, like, in the span of 10 minutes, you've lost
Turn
where we're at.
to page. Turn to page. Okay. So yeah, we have all that stuff coming up.
I've got my Potterheads here. So as a point of curiosity, have either of you checked out the latest Fantastic Beasts film, which is right now streaming on HBO Max?
Yes.
Go
I
on,
literally
Alexis.
can't tell you what happened.
Sounds about right.
I was so confused. And then David watched it recently. I had to ask him. I was like, did you understand what was happening? And he goes, yeah, it was weird. But yeah, I think so.
I think I understood it. That's very reassuring.
Yeah, maybe. It's a maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. It was, yeah. I just feel like somebody else has to see it in order for me to talk about it because I don't know.
Oh, so somebody who understands it.
Yeah.
An interpreter, if you will.
Yikes. I mean, really?
I mean, maybe I just wasn't paying attention that much, but I really tried.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like
Damn.
you tried. Yeah. I mean, it's the Fantastic Beasts movies. I don't think you should be spending any
I will say though,
any brain power on these movies that it needs to be. So
I will say that I did watch the first two before watching that one, just because I couldn't remember what happened either.
yeah.
But the second one has really good scenes, like the opening
somewhere?
scene. Yeah, like the opening scene I think is really good. Like when Grindelwald is
like Nagini actually being an Asian woman.
the beginning scene was really good, where Grindelwald was running away, and honestly, the saving grace of that movie was Johnny Depp.
Amen. You know what? Yeah. Yeah, he was the best part of that movie.
You know what? We talked about this a few weeks back, Alexis. Kyle was not here. We had talked about the trial in layman's terms, more or less. And, you know, I don't want to weigh down the entirety of this podcast with that topic, but a verdict has been reached, and it was a pretty massive event. And it's kind of unfortunate, not the verdict itself, all depending on your point of view, but it's really unfortunate.
Point of view.
The other stuff surrounding this trial that maybe we didn't even address, because last time,
Yeah.
look, it is without question, there are a lot of sexists out there that are very happy that a woman went down as hard as this jury did, which was a surprise, right? So Johnny Depp was awarded $10 million, I believe, and then Amber Heard got $2 million. That was the whole thing. Johnny Depp was able to prove more of his side than she was. She barely got anything that she was able to prove. So that was how it came down. And it was pretty much a decisive win for Johnny Depp over Amber Heard. It was without question that the entire time of this entire trial, and even after the fact, that there were a lot of sexists that were getting off on Amber Heard, like losing and her name being wrung through,
that's
through
not
the mud.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's that.
I just think that, like, regardless of who won, because like it does, like, it is important to talk about it.
Can we say who won?
You know,
who really won here? Like, okay, like,
yeah,
I feel like
but,
more
like,
people lost
what I'm
than
trying
won.
to say is, like, she was also abused in a way.
Yeah.
And so was he. And it's
yes.
like, just because he won, it's like, oh, she did everything, and he's like, he didn't do anything. You know what I mean?
Let's
like,
be clear
that's
about
not
what this verdict.
happened.
This verdict really much, I think, what did make it clear was that Amber Heard was not being an honest actor through the entirety of this entire happenstance, right? What was basically proved was, the truth was very much exaggerated on her part, as was his, with at least some of the aspects that his legal team was trying to prove of hers. Again, read the whole verdict and everything. What it means is Johnny Depp was able to stop the bleeding in his career, and I think, as I mentioned in the last podcast, that this trial has done a lot of good to really turn his name around in the court of public opinion in that case. With Amber Heard, I don't feel bad for her too much in terms of the circumstances that happened or the particulars of this trial. What is rather unfortunate is all of the stuff surrounding it, because you have a whole bunch of like odious people that are trying to like attach themselves to this verdict and like spread their own propaganda and their own narrative that is fueled by hate. That shit, like the Republican Party, like tweeting out like a gif of Jack Sparrow when like Johnny Depp won the verdict. Like, what just because a man like beat a woman.
Yeah.
Wrong choice of words here.
Rephrase a little bit, I think.
Because Johnny Depp won over Amber Heard in this verdict, they were celebrating. It's like, it's pretty unironic how they come across as so anti-woman. Yeah, woman lost. Like, and they don't seem to like realize how bad that looks. They kind of revel in it at that point.
I like people who are posting about it and like, it's like, yeah, Johnny, I don't know. I just feel really icky about it.
Like because
it's not good. Like it's. And I'm not saying that, like, he should have lost, but, like, I think, like, what I said before, like, both of them did damage to each other. Like, it wasn't... None of this is okay. I don't know.
It was a very toxic relationship that blew out of proportion very fast, especially within the public eye, you know, and I'm not saying, like, who's better and all that stuff, because both of them fucked each other up pretty badly, you know, and let's be real with that. The only irksome thing I have about this whole thing is, yes, there is the sexism, like when Harvey Weinstein, you know, Kevin Spacey, when they were accused of the Bill Cosby, what, you know, you name it, when they went through their whole ordeal and all the accused, there was not 1 ounce of hate that was directed at them in comparison to the fraction of what was bestowed upon Amber Heard, which I think is unrightfully, unrightful in this whole situation. And like, I feel like you have a lot of misogynistic
seriously
interpretation.
A lot of people just get off on seeing a woman being kicked down and they just go for the kill.
It feels like this is like it to me. I feel like this is I not euphoric. Okay, I'm going to use that term. It's euphoric to those who oppose the whole Me Too stance to begin with, and it feels like it's levied against the whole Me Too ordeal, you know, and they're using this as a crux and, you know, as a vehicle of their own like misogynistic hate, which I am not a fan of. Like, you never see any murals of like Harvey Weinstein, like the most heinous, like ugly looking murals. Like, I've seen people paint murals of Amber Heard, you know, and painting her as, you know, a disgusting figure. I mean, she is. I mean, they both are. I'm going to be real, you know, you know, as a once proud Johnny Depp stan, you know, even I could admit that, you know, he's pretty disgusting, but also guess what? So is she, you know, kind of thing. So, but the way that everybody like paints Amber Heard in this light and all that stuff, and it's really disgusting. And
yeah, I think like Amber Heard definitely deserves some hate, but like what's going on with her particularly is far beyond any of the stuff that is pertaining to her. As we've mentioned, what you're saying basically there, Kyle, is the right wing has kind of hijacked the verdict of this trial and used it to discredit the whole Me Too movement, basically saying never believe women, don't stand up, shut up, keeping your place, trying to turn back the clock on the progress in these last 5 years, which is what they always do.
And not only that, but this goes beyond a domestic violence trial.
Far beyond that,
it's by and large, this is a defamation trial. It has nothing to do with the domestic abuse that happened behind closed doors, and the whole use of defamation, I feel, won't bode well in the justice system of America. Now, let me tell you why. Because a lot of people see, this, like, for example, Kyle Rittenhouse, that motherfucker is using this as fuel to go after those who
correction, that murderer.
Yes. Who, and I feel like this is gonna be used, and let me tell you something that's really worrisome to me. Those that are looking to seek vengeance and revenge using the justice system, let me tell you, they're writing down notes. They're taking notes of what was used in this case, and they're going to apply it to their case. Is out there, and I find that more disturbing than just seeing celebrities, get their due diligence.
At the same time, I want to acknowledge, though, I did find it particularly disgusting. A lot of the statement that Amber Heard released, basically trying to hide behind the Me Too movement as the reason for why she lost in court. And the whole vibe that I get from her is like she's trying to deflect all of the toxic behaviors she's clearly exemplified and say, well, I'm a woman and I'm being attacked because I'm a woman. And in a lot of circles, yes, that's true. But I feel like she's not really, based on like what we saw here, I'm not getting the vibe of a person who's like, that feels that she was at fault for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she's using a movement to hide behind them. And I don't think that's good.
Especially something like the Me Too movement, where it could cause so much damage to other people when it's trying to change a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's why, like,
very, very icky.
Like, Amber Heard's not the best ambassador for this, and I don't feel particularly bad for her anyways. You know, I mean, the court stuff, the other stuff that's not, fair. Obviously, there is that. So it was just it's a whole mess of things, and really, it just feels like every time we try to take a step forward, the right is able to just come up with some bullshit reason and take us 5 steps back for every issue that's going on here.
Honestly, with this whole court case, I could give 0 fucks about it.
I mean, it doesn't affect us, really.
Where's gun reform? That's what we should be talking about.
Yeah,
right
that's not
now
gonna
in this
happen.
country. But oh well,
it's never going to happen unless you remove the corporate interests, which won't happen. So there's that. Kids will continue to be murdered and mutilated. We'll cover it on TV for a couple of days.
Shooting
a couple
in Philadelphia.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they'll be made. I mean, I don't want to say anything too graphic here, but this country's fucked up. Anyway, with a lot of different reasons. So yeah, it's been a couple of really interesting weeks, hasn't it? Anyway, there was that. Now, getting back to the Harry Potter of it all, Moreno here had a rather, right? Because it involved Johnny Depp. Moreno had a rather, what it seemed to be religious experience when she returned to Universal Studios and the Wizarding World in Los Angeles. So, Alexis, if you'd like, you can go ahead and talk about what you did over there at Los Angeles. This is your first time since you've returned since...
This is the first time I went to Universal since, I want to say, like, 2011.
So, when you went, there was no Wizarding World?
Oh, no. They were barely in talks of like
Have you
potentially
been to a Wizarding World before this?
No.
Oh, okay.
Like
So
last
this
time
is-
I went,
this
they
is a
were
religious
barely
experience.
talking about making a Wizarding World. Like it wasn't like
Okay.
a for sure thing. They were.
So how was it, Alexis?
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, pretty much everything except maybe like the mummy ride was new for me. Everything else was like completely different. Like even like the entrance and like everything was just so different. And I mean it's kind of cool because like I at least remember like, you know, the last time that like I was old, obviously like old enough to remember like the different things that have changed. Like I feel like if you like go to Disneyland when you're like younger and then you go now, like you're gonna be like, oh, I don't remember anything, so it doesn't matter. So it was kind of cool. But yeah, like the whole Simpsons area, that's completely changed. The food there is so good. I have to say, like we ate like Chinese food that's like by the entrance. Yeah, that was not good. It was disgusting. But we had some nachos because we were gonna wait in line for the tour thing, and we got some nachos at the Simpsons place. They were so good.
Wow.
Yeah, they were really good. But yeah, we did that. The tour, I mean, the only thing that was different was like that they don't have the mummy thing. And it's the Fast and the Furious thing, which is cool. I feel like it's longer, if I'm not mistaken, than the
I think
mummy
it should be
thing.
at least like 60 minutes. Or no, like maybe 40 minutes long?
I don't know. Well, we didn't go through a lot of the areas. Like, we didn't go through, like, the neighborhood area, like, where they have the Desperate Housewives stuff. And then we didn't go through the city area because they were having events there. Well, events. But we did everything else. And then it was also cool because I went with somebody who was their first time going. So like
At
when
all?
the tour so like the tour stuff when we go into like the King Kong area and all that stuff, like it was kind of cool because I got to see like her reaction and stuff. And then after that I think we did Jurassic World, which
You got on the ride.
I did.
Okay.
And I got on by myself.
Oh my god.
Because
Oh my god.
yeah, I was so scared. Okay, so what happened was we were gonna wait in the line, but the line literally when we got in line, it was like at the end. Like no more space for more people.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we were like, single riders. So we waited like 15 minutes. Also, people need to fucking read. This couple in front of us got mad and started yelling at the workers because they wanted to get on together. It's a single rider line. Like, and they left.
It's 2022. Who has not heard of a single rider line? If you go with, well, you know what? Look, there are a lot of dance people out there. Yes, they should have read. But, I mean, the name says it, single rider line, and it's a lot shorter than the, what, I would imagine 3-hour
really
standby
think that
line.
You're going to wait 15 minutes to go on this ride, and you're going to sit wherever you want? No.
Yeah, okay, so you guys all went 15 minutes? Damn, I wish I would have had that.
Yeah.
That's a great ride. And
So I got on, but it was funny because I went with 3 other people, and the 3 other people got on the same boat together, and they ended up like switching with people, so they got to sit together. But I went on a separate boat, so I was so scared. You have no idea. And like I sat down, and there was a family of 4 next to me, or 3, I don't know.
Oh God.
And the dad was sitting next to me, and I literally turned to him and I'm like, I'm so sorry if I get close to you, but I am literally terrified right now. And he's like, oh, it's okay.
There are a lot of reasons to be afraid, but just in case anybody who is listening forgot, Alexis is a known, she has a phobia of animatronics.
Yeah.
That's
And
one
dinosaurs.
of the phobias. And then dinosaurs.
Which is like what the fuck? Especially because like she's a huge Disney nerd and shit. Like
Well,
that.
with this case, it's animatronics and dinosaurs, which are two phobias she has.
So I got through the first part okay. The water, like the one that's in the water, that was fine. Once we got into
the John Williams music, though, you hear that?
Yeah. But once we got into the dark area, no, my eyes were shut the entire time. I don't know what happened.
What did you feel happen?
You know what? I did open my eyes when it was really cool. Like, but it gives me chills like when I think about it. But the part where like the whole dinosaur came out. Like the whole thing. Yeah. I opened my eyes there and I was like, okay, cool, bye. It's too real. No.
So what was it like dropping into that dark pit with all of the dinosaur sounds around you?
I was like this. I was literally like this. So
oh my God.
I don't know.
And how was the drop? Did you at least have a thrill of the drop?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I think that the Splash Mountain one is more intense, right?
Well, because they amp it up. And I think it is. But did you get waterboarded here or no?
No, I did not. I was safe. And I took a what's it called? A poncho this time.
Oh, you came prepared.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
That was a traumatic event for you, wasn't it? The first
yeah.
Splash Mountain.
But I sat all the way in the back, so I was like, I think I'm good. I think I'm okay.
Oh man.
And then we got on the mummy ride like 3 times because we did single riders. So that was that. I forgot how much fun that was. Like I knew that one was really fun. I forgot that it went backwards. But yeah, that one was really fun. And then the Transformers ride is really cool. The only thing is,
how does that work?
It's. I mean, the only thing I can compare it to is basically Ratatouille, but you guys haven't been on it, so.
I mean, I've seen videos of how it works.
It's basically the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, I mean, and I have the same complaint in the Ratatouille ride, is I don't like 3D stuff, because it gives me a headache, so I just watch without my glasses. But that was cool. Like, the part where, something, like, burns and you feel, like, super hot, like, all of a sudden, that part was kind of scary. But it was fun. And then, what else did we do? We did the, Waterworld. That was fun. Yeah, the girl that I went with that she had never been before. She was so excited about that one. She was like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" It's just so cool, like to go.
Isn't it amazing how it's like Waterworld? I think to my memory has to be one of the worst reviewed movies or one of the biggest like box office disasters of all time, and yet it is still like a really great like popular like show at Universal Studios.
It's so good. Yeah, that's like always a must when we go. It's so fun. But I forgot how like wet you can get if you sit in the wrong area. Oh my god.
Did you get wet?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
But like the people sitting on our like the very left side, like the last sitting area. Oh my god. And then there was this guy who this kid was gonna get wet, but he didn't want to get wet, and so this guy volunteered in his place. He like got like a whole like water gun shot at him and a bucket. It was bad. He was done for. Yeah.
He drowned.
Yeah. He got waterboarded.
Did he have a mask on? Because
no.
He would have actually gotten waterboarded.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And then
masks, a blessing, but also a curse.
Oh, you know what we did also? It was an okay ride. If you could call it a ride, I don't know. The story was really cute though. Was the Minions ride?
There's a Minions ride?
Yes, there's a Minions ride. So.
And Kyle just walked off.
He said bye. But it's like. How can I explain it? Have you ever seen videos of the Mike's laugh thingy at Disney World? Okay, Have you seen like the seating area?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it's basically that, but you're like in groups of 4 or yeah, like there's 4 people in one row, 4 people in the bottom, but it looks like that, like the seating area kind of, but there's like a table in front of you and stuff. But like the sections, they like lift up and then you kind of turn and it turns into like a Star Tours type of thing. And like the whole concept is that you're being turned into a minion or whatever. But it's really cute because it turns out to be like a cute like adoption story, you know, like okay. And then at the end you get turned back into a human. And you leave the ride and it's like a whole dance party.
So
it's
you get
fun.
unadopted? No,
like the adoption stories with like the girls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's so cute. I've only seen the first one, so I don't know what happens in the rest.
There's no need to see the rest of it.
No, you don't have to see the other ones. So that was cute. And then we did the whole wizarding world afterwards, and it was so much fun. It was so cool. Okay, I feel like I did hype it up for myself a lot more than what it is, because I thought it was going to be a lot bigger and there was going to be a lot more stuff to do. But it's literally just shops and restaurants, which is fine. And there's 2 rides. We didn't do the
That's the same with Galaxy's Edge, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
The shops, restaurants, and 2 rides, yeah?
Yeah.
Although I would say Galaxy's Edge feels bigger.
Yeah, it does.
Than Wizarding World.
Yeah. And we didn't do the hippo... What's it called?
Flight of the Hippogriff.
Yeah. We didn't do that one.
I did that one.
I forgot why we didn't do it. I don't remember.
It's
but
like,
we did.
You know, it's so funny. Like, you're both like, in both scenarios, one is like an immersive, you know, a world specific journey, and then the other one you're riding a vehicle.
Yeah.
Basically, I love the comparison. Well, tell us about first of all, like, tell me the merch.
Oh my god. I literally, because I went into Wizarding World before I got the ticket because they had a deal or whatever. But I think they have that every time you go, where like if you pay like, I think we paid like $40 more or something, and we got the pass. So we entered the shops first, and first I took pictures of all the outside, and then we entered the shops
as a proper millennial should.
Yes. I knew for sure going in that I wanted to get a robe and I wanted a wand. But the robe ended up being like $130.
Oh,
so God. I was like, you know what? I would just wait for the wand. I'm okay. And that's when I was like, I'm going to get the freaking pass because I'm going to come back. And I'm going to, by the end of my year, I will have my whole Hogwarts getup. And
I thought you had a robe.
Quidditch getup and my wand.
Weren't you wearing a robe?
That's the one I bought.
Oh, so you did end up buying it. I thought you said you didn't buy. Oh.
No, yeah, I bought the robe. It's so nice. Did you guys or did you try it on, or did you touch it, like the robe?
He's not a big Harry Potter fan.
I know, so but like he still went. Did you not touch it? I touched everything.
Did I touch a robe?
Yeah, okay, because it's so nice. Like the material, like I spilled soda on it, and it like went away.
Wow!
Like there's no stain on it.
Oh, so it's waterproof.
Yeah.
Well, it's made for foggy old England where it rains a lot. So I mean, it's gotta be appropriate.
It's really really nice. Like I put it on, and the girl that I went with that has never been, and then I went with my cousin. They're not like Harry Potter fans at all. Like they actually are scared of the movies. And I tried it on. They were like, "You need to get it. Like it's so cool. It looks so good on you." And blah blah blah. And then I bought like a headband as well. And then when you open up the robe, there's like a little spot for your wand.
Oh my that's God. Cool.
I love it so much. And then Yeah, like everything else. Like I didn't even want to look at the rest of the merch because I'm like, I'm gonna end up buying something else, and this is too much.
You know what? I want to get a broom. Are there good brooms?
I
Go
didn't
to the flea market right now and get one.
No, shut up.
I didn't see the brooms. I just saw like the normal like school uniform and stuff.
Okay.
But the one that I really, really want, or like I will get at a certain point, is the Quidditch sweater.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Those are so cool. And then I want my Ron sweater.
Oh my god. Is there one with like individual letters like A?
No, it's only H and R.
Ah, okay. All
Yeah.
right.
At least that's what I saw. Because I know that there was like where I got the robe, there was another room, but I didn't go in there because I'm like, I need to stop.
Yeah. Self-control.
Yeah. And I didn't end up getting the wand for the same reason, but that's okay because the next time that I go, for sure, I'm gonna get the wand. But I want to do like the whole like thing where hopefully I get chosen and all that stuff.
Oh, the wand chooses the wizard shit and Ollivanders, yeah.
And then one of the girls that I went with, she has the interactive wand, so I was able to still like use that and stuff. That was fun. It was because when we walk in, there's like a door where like you stand and there's always like somebody there, and you like move it and it like unlocks the door or locks the door or whatever. Mm-hmm. And when we walked in, there was like two little kids doing it. Oh my god. I almost cried. Oh my god. It was so, they were so excited and they were just like, they kept like moving it and like when they like actually, because it moves and it makes noise, like that's the only one that makes a noise. But they were like, oh my god. It was so cute. But yeah, that was what I did. Oh, and then I didn't get butterbeer. I just got the ice cream.
How was the ice cream?
The ice cream is really good. Because I heard that the drink isn't that good. So I was like, I'll start off with the ice cream.
Okay, have you... from what I could gather is like if you like cream soda, then it's right up your alley.
Well, I've never tried. So.
I liked it, but it by the end it was like, okay, I think I had enough. It was a bit too sweet.
I could tell that it's gonna be like that because of the ice cream. Like I feel like because the ice cream was really small, so I was like, okay, maybe it'll like this will be good. So that was cool. And yeah, like hearing like the music when you're walking around there, like amazing. Okay,
compare that with like something like Galaxy's Edge. Do you think do you think Galaxy's Edge needs the the Star Wars music?
Yeah, because I've been
saying that for years. It needs the music. It needs the John Williams music.
It's so stupid that they don't do this. It's so easy. Like, half of the magic is to hear the music when you're walking around.
Yes,
like, what exactly. The heck?
Especially because it's John Williams.
I literally, even like I said, like my cousins don't know this, or like don't know like a lot about Harry Potter, but even they were like, no, like singing along because it's so like known,
iconic.
Yeah, like what the heck? They're ridiculous, but whatever.
Ridiculous.
I will say that like. The only thing that Star Wars or Galaxy's Edge has is maybe the cantina. But they do have the 3 broomsticks. I didn't go in there. So maybe that might be a thing.
But the thing is that like how clever is traditional British pub food? You know, because that's what they serve. They serve British pub food. You know, which is fine and hearty and all that stuff. But like the thing is that you have more elaborate made dishes when it comes to like.
Well, I would also say from a bottom dollar standpoint, I think you have maybe it sounds like the stuff that was available to do, like getting a wand and a rope, wasn't anywhere near as atrocious as the amount you would spend with like a droid
or a lightsaber
combined with a lightsaber.
I think
or
the
is
merch
it more
is
or less
same.
the same?
I think it's the same.
Okay.
Because I think the robes over there are about the same, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't even know if I mean that's a good question. I would never entertain spending that much money on that. Yeah. Other stuff maybe, but maybe not that.
But yeah, I think that's something Galaxy's Edge does have over this one is the cantina and the fact that they have 2 big rides. Because I think that the Hippogriff one, I it kind of reminds me of Go Gadgets.
It's rather throwaway. Yeah,
Or
the Gadgets Go Coaster.
Whatever.
The Gadgets Go Coaster. Yeah. It's rather throwaway.
Yeah.
Whereas I think we can make the case that Galaxy's Edge has 2 e-ticket attractions.
Yeah. So that, and I mean, even though they have a handful of characters walking around, Harry Potter has none. But I will say that the people who work there and who are dressed up and are engaging with the people, so fun, so much fun. And like, oh my god, I think like my one of my favorite parts is like when you're wearing the robes and the people working there are like, oh, hello, fellow Hufflepuff or whatever, like, or they'll be like, like annoyed that you're with Hufflepuff or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So that was really cool. So shout out to the workers there. But it would be kind of fun to do like I don't know. It would be kind of fun to see like the characters walking around. But that's not something that they do. So like it kind of is like it's okay. You know what I mean?
Like a Harry, Hermione, Ron.
Yeah.
Dumbledore. Ooh, Dumbledore, I think would be.
Yeah.
Ooh, you know what would be fucking amazing if they do it? Hagrid, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be really
like,
cool.
It would be cool, but I can forgive them because it's not something that they do. Like, it's not something that they're known for. Whereas, it's such a huge issue with Disney because it's something that they are known for and they are not doing it.
Or seldom do it.
Yes. So, I feel like that's a huge, like... thing.
Oh, yeah. And that Star Wars Nights really exposed them. They got those costumes back there. Put them on.
Yeah, like I heard you guys...
Tusken Raiders, Ewoks.
You can tell that Peter doesn't listen to our podcast because we have mentioned all of this before. And he was, like, barely realizing this.
Yeah. So, I mean, we don't listen to each other. Let's be real, because Kyle probably has no idea what you're talking about. So, last time Peter was on here, he did recap his Disneyland trip. And I'm not sure he was expecting for me to agree with all of his points, but we talked about this at length. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I was like, the whole time I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then...
Did you hear, though, like, what was pretty funny, though, with him is, like, he was able to just, like, get a table at the cantina just by pure luck of the draw. We should try that next time.
I know, we should. My cousin said that she was able to do that, too. So, next time.
The hell?
I know, right? Maybe we could have got one. Who knows?
We just didn't
try.
Who
knows?
Yeah. We could have gone.
We had to do so much research for all the other stuff.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we I could see, like, you should have seen it. Like, when we went, Moreno and Alexis were on their beds, like, just, like, watching videos, and, like, you know, you could see them taking notes, and
it was like a war room, you know, trying to, like,
you saw
trying
them
to, like, strategize.
They stretched out a Disneyland map on it, like, okay, boys, at 7:00 we're gonna be.
Hey, I thought it proved successful at the end of the day.
We're going to war. But yeah, it sounds like you had a fucking blast. I want to go. Like, the only reason why I want to go to Universal Studios now is for Harry Potter.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much it. I'm not like into the other properties that are there.
I think everything else is worth it too.
Really?
Obviously, like, you know, Disney does things at a bigger scale, I guess. But I don't know. It's a lot of fun and it's way cheaper. And you know what? Right now, I feel like Disney is not worth it.
I think that's a good... Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Dang.
No, it's the truth. It very much is the truth. It's not worth it with all the shit that's going on. So there's that. Before, let's see, what else did we have here? So that's the Harry Potter stuff. There's turn
I
the
still have
page,
the big ride.
Oh, I thought you... All right. What's the big ride, Alexis? Did you like it? How could you not?
Oh my god. I had the
Right?
biggest smile on my face the entire
amazing.
time. Oh
It's
my
amazing.
god. Like, I didn't even know, because honestly, I had never seen videos, just because
No.
the few that I did see were really dark, so I was like, I'll just
Would they
like,
even do it
wait.
justice, honestly? I
Oh,
don't think they would.
absolutely
No.
not. But even like the queue. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
also, God, well, I was gonna mention this when we do the other podcast, but I was gonna send you guys a picture because I was laughing so hard. But right, because when you walk in, because we did the whole line. We did like as soon as like you walk into the castle, that's where the line started, which is totally fine because at least there's air conditioning.
Who knew?
But yeah,
Who knew there's air conditioning at Hogwarts?
But we started off like where it's basically like the greenhouse.
Mhm.
Oh,
So
that's
we
cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's what's her name? Professor
Professor Sprout.
Yeah, it's like her classroom basically.
Yeah. Are there any
and then-
mandrakes?
I'm sure there was. I didn't pay attention.
Okay.
There was just so much to see. I'm sure I missed a lot of stuff.
It's an amazing queue.
It's oh my god. And then when you walk in like into like the castle, they have they had like little fountains or whatever, and then they had a sign with the door that said kitchen, and then you can hear the little elves like working, but it literally looks like a freaking dungeon.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I wanted to send you guys a picture because I was dying, but that was so cool.
Did you
And
take
it
a
was, like,
picture of the
right-
kitchen, or did
No,
you take a
I
picture?
didn't.
Did you take a picture of the Amazon warehouses? if you, if you
and
read
then-
the books, it's a lot
yeah.
more horrifying.
Yeah. And then you get to walk through like the halls and stuff. You get to walk through Dumbledore's office. You get to walk through the Defense Against the Dark Arts room, and that's where that's where Harry, Ron, and Hermione come out. Amazing. There's literally like I feel like you need to do that like 3-4 times to be able to see
To-
everything.
Oh, I mean,
And you
that's
have
kind
to
of the
do
intent,
you have to
right?
do the line when you go. Like if you do single riders, like I'm sorry, but never will I do single riders for that ride.
Because like it's amazing because like the thing about like Universal Studios that I wish that they would do is like they have no reverence for the properties that they're using as rides, so there's no like lasting power in terms of like what they have. You know, they're
Yeah.
constantly switching and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I love that you feel like that sense of permanence.
but I feel like that's wrong though, because we all remember the Back to the Future ride. We all remember the ET ride. And literally you hear that constantly walking through the park. So I feel like it was a huge mistake. Even though the rides that they replaced them with are really cool, I feel like it was a huge mistake for them to get rid of those. Because it's ET and it's Back to the Future. Like, and then I'm pretty sure somehow, somewhere along the way, the Simpsons stuff has to go because it's Disney now. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully they bring back to the Future. That would be kind of fun. But I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, that's what it Simpsons replaced.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm saying.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Have you ridden the Back to the Future ride?
Huh?
Did you ride the Back to the Future
Yeah.
ride way back then? It's so cool.
Yeah.
Alexis, like you rode your own little mini like DeLorean and stuff like that. And like the thing is that you're going through like different parts of time. Because Biff, he got a hold of his own DeLorean. So you're trying so you're trying to go back in time and stop him from messing up historical events and stuff like that. So I think that's a fucking not only is that a brilliant concept, but it's just like one of those things that I think it just like it ups the ante. And you know, and they're so creative like with all this like, because obviously they can't have like showrooms all the way on the other side. The campus is so small, so they have to like miniaturize a lot of things, and like even where you ride Elliot's bike, in ET, I think is absolutely brilliant. And plus, like when you hear Universal Studios, just the films, you think of Back to the Future, ET, and what have you. So like, I mean, when you go to Disneyland, you expect to see Snow White and Cinderella.
I guess like for me, it's like that's a lot of the drawback to Universal Studios is that it's really hard to get enthusiastic because there's so much there that I just don't care to do. Secret Life of Pets, Minions, Kung Fu Panda, or Shrek, Simpsons, all of that is just kind of like, okay. I'm sure that's good, but
Life of Pets has you need the thing that Rise of the Resistance had.
Oh, a boarding pass?
Yeah, you need a boarding pass for that one, so we didn't get on that one. So that was a little weird. But yeah, and then also the Harry Potter ride is so scary. What the heck was up with that? Like, okay, I need to explain this to Kyle because I need for somebody to
help visualize.
Help me understand why I was so scared.
I mean, honestly, like I can't even wrap my head around your animatronic phobia.
No. Okay, so listen. So the ride is basically like Soarin'. Mm-hmm. So you know how you sit in Soarin'?
Yeah.
Like where it's like the floor? Okay, so it's like that. But so like you're sitting facing like that way, right? And then imagine that this thing moves like this. So you're spinning.
Oh, so
but like you're going forward.
Instead of being still or just raising up just a little bit to elevate you, like going over
like you're flying. You're supposed to be flying, so that's why it like looks like that. But you're like moving at all angles. Like you're spinning.
So it's gyrating.
I don't know what that means, but sure.
I mean, that means like going around.
Oh, okay, yeah. Apparently a lot of people get sick, that there's a nursing station right outside of the ride because a lot of people tend to get sick in that ride.
Oh my god.
And also keep in mind that this ride used to be 3D. So imagine that. No. But yeah, you're running away from the dinosaur or the dragon. I'm sorry. So
I'm like,
already
dinosaurs. What kind of Harry Potter world is
already
this?
terrified. You are running away from the spiders. No, I'm done.
Yeah.
And then you're running away from the freaking Dementors.
Cool.
Yeah.
Deceased. No.
Do they perform the kiss at any time?
Yeah. But okay, so it's like it's screens, but it's also animatronics. So
animatronic spiders, dragon, Dementors.
Yeah. And at one point, like, I had my eyes closed most of the time because it's so dark. And when the girl that was sitting next to me, she gets motion sickness. So she gets scared of a lot of things. So she had her eyes closed, but she started getting sick. Uh-oh. And she was like, no, like, I need to keep my eyes open or else I'm gonna, like, puke right here. She opens her eyes and there's a freaking Dementor right in front of her face. Because you're facing forward. You're facing forward and everything is right in front of you. Literally, like, you can reach your arm out and you can touch them. It is terrifying, but it's so much fun.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool, but it's, yeah, too scary. Like, do not recommend for kids.
Okay, anything else?
No.
Isn't it called Harry Potter's Forbidden Journey or something like that?
Yeah.
Nice.
No, it's a world-class attraction. I feel
it's
like,
so
to me,
cool.
It really does give the best of Disney a run for its money.
Yeah. You could tell that this is what pushed Disney to make Rise of the Resistance.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, because it's so good.
All right, then. Don't forget to tune in to Turn to Page whenever they have new episodes on all of the latest Harry Potter stuff. And I'm so happy, Alexis, you seem to have really rekindled your fandom in a really impossible era to do so with Harry, at least with the new stuff coming out of Harry Potter. But you've done it. You've really done it. So congratulations on that. All right.
Great timing.
Speaking of attempting to reignite passions and fandoms, Star Wars. Anyway, Star Wars Celebration happened last weekend, as a matter of fact. I think it was like 3 or some days. And what they would prefer people say as news, I guess some news did happen. Quite frankly, the things that I did read, I felt were like, okay, well, this seems like a lot of things we already knew were happening. More, albeit this was the official confirmation of several of those things. Mm-hmm. But I don't think anything came across as too much of a surprise. But Kyle, if you would be so kind as to kind of break down the quote-unquote announcements that were made by Lucasfilm.
Well, there's going to be a new show headed by, of course, Mr. Favreau and Filoni, and it's going to be called The Skeleton Crew, which is going to star Jude Law. Okay. There's going to be a thing called Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, which is, I think, six episodes in 2 parts. Which is animated, basically continuations of the stories that you fall in love with in Clone Wars, following specific Jedi, namely Ahsoka and Count Dooku, that were a major highlight in the sizzle reel that was displayed.
Let me clarify a couple of things. Wait, there is no continuation of any storylines. There are specific characters. There are characters who are getting a deeper dive into with the Clone Wars animation style.
Yes. It's kind of like a Clone Wars spin-off, if you will.
There already is one.
Bad Batch. I know.
There's another one, yeah. Which is, look, I'm cool with. I'm cool. I'm just here waiting since 2013 because there are a bunch of great stories, or so I'm told, that have been written literally in script form that were supposed to be included with the final seasons of the Clone Wars. And I'm just waiting. Animate them, release them. I guarantee you they'd be popular, especially if you love the Clone Wars. And if you think the Clone Wars is very popular, which it is, that would be, I don't know, received rather well. There's a Cad Bane arc. There's an Asajj Ventress 8-episode arc. There's a General Grievous arc. There's a Yoda and the Wookiees arc. There's so much that was left, that is already written, that you own, that you can animate, and yet we're not going to see it. Instead, you think, oh, we'll just give them 6 episodes
and some are
Tales of the Jedi.
And actually, some are partially edited.
Literally,
animated.
the animatics are there. Yeah, the animatics are literally there as we speak. So there's a lot, and you could do that. And I guarantee you that would generate excitement. But it seems they're like, we'll just do everything except that.
Yeah. Well, again, it's modern Disney, and modern Disney is,
and by the way,
quite the decisions are being made in the House of Mouse.
And think about all the all the characters that are getting like these new explorations into, especially with the prequel era. The Clone Wars I love the show, and there are so many characters that are getting their due. Mm-hmm. Sure, who hasn't gotten their due is a character called Asajj Ventress, who was very, I would say, key to the overall reason for why Clone Wars was such a big splash in the first place. And yet her character arc didn't receive a resolution of any kind. They gave her a novel, which was amazing, but no one read the novel. So no one knows what happened to her. So literally every character in Star Wars gets to come back except her. Okay. Keeping that in mind. By the way, none of this is nearly as, I would say, a big a fuck up as allowing Jon Favreau to literally murder a animated series that would have served as a successor to Star Wars Rebels, all for the sake of doing a live action adaptation of that original animated series that we already know will be worse for it in every way imaginable. So yes, Ahsoka, we got more details out of that. I know they announced that the Rebels characters would be in it that we already knew. Hera Syndulla, Jason Syndulla, Sabine Wren, Chopper. That's wonderful.
And with
I love those characters.
and with
I would have
nonchalant-
loved to have seen those characters come back in their actual animated form, but
Yeah.
instead we're going to get Mandalorian bullshit? No, I don't care.
You know what I heard somebody mention that the only person who has not been invited back to stuff is the person who did the voice for Sabine. Sabine Wren.
what?
Tira Sakar?
Was she there?
No.
Yeah. Because apparently she's not being invited back to do anything.
Is there a reason? Do you know?
I don't know.
Well, I assume she would have
I mean-
come back to do the show until Jon Favreau literally got her fired. Because, like, you know what? Let's change the show entirely and make it live action. Here's the thing. If it comes to pass that Jon Favreau did not pick up a pen to write anything for this show, then maybe there's a chance. But, Alexis, are you cutting your hair?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness.
But if it turns out Favreau has a lot of influence over this show, it's done. Dead on arrival for me. As far as anything that involves his name, dead on arrival. Could not care less. I know The Mandalorian had like a season 3 panel. No one cared. I don't care. I guess they had like a trailer that played for the crowd. And Kyle, do you have any information as to like what, how that trailer played and what was involved?
In the
Mandalorian season 3.
Mandalorian trailer, there was, sorry, I had a work message.
That's fine.
There were basically it's teasing.
I think they got like a minute and a half more than what the regular trailer is gonna be.
Yeah.
So they got to see some stuff.
It's teasing. Okay, Carl Weathers' character, he pretty much runs the whole entire planet, I think, and he got like other planets involved with the whole thing. He'll have his own little arc and whatever, but the thing is that they're teeing up the big showdown between Bo-Katan and Mando.
For
I'm
what?
sorry, but I just find it so disgusting. No, hold on, Alexis. You're right. For what? But I think there's more to be outraged here. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean a showdown? Since when the fuck did Bo-Katan become the villain in this? That's what it sounds like. Like, whose decision was it to bring back this character and make her fall on the sword to prop up the main character, Mando? Yeah, I'm sure the Bo-Katan's fans would appreciate that. That scenario going down. Like, this whole thing of, like, you know the mythology of the series. If you go back, even if you go back and watch that Boba Fett episode where it was just a Mandalorian episode, this bitch was like, oh yeah, Bo-Katan like allowed herself to take the sword without, winning it in combat. That was them fixing a retcon, by the way. But it was her fault that Mandalorian fell. I'm sorry, but I think I feel pretty gross with this whole idea of that, oh, we'll just make the whole extinction of the planet Bo-Katan's fault. And we'll make her be a loser at the expense of this Jaren character. Okay. Fuck you. That's my response. Fuck you. Alexis, your response.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Bo-Katan was never a villain. Why?
No!
I don't understand why are they villainizing her in any shape or capacity, And
it like, I feel like it kind of, makes the story of Mandalore, like, dumb now. Like, if you solely pin it on one person, like, that's not That's not what happened.
I mean,
though.
let's be fair. Going back to Harry Potter, I mean, Mandalore is like the defense against the dark arts position. It's cursed. It's a cursed planet.
Yeah.
It's like there's a bunch of fucked up things going on in Mandalore that
You also gotta love the tone deafness of Lucasfilm, right? Or I guess particularly the Mandalorian writers, because, okay, the optics of making the girl Mandalorian be the bad guy in service of the boy Mandalorian becoming the king and ruler of Mandalore, especially since the reasons that you're giving for Bo-Katan being bad are very
superficial
not reasons at all. They're not at all reasons. It just comes across as gross every way.
It just kind of feels like, and it kind of throws out her whole character too, because her thing is that, like, she believed in, like, the old ways of Mandalore, and her sister was like, no, like, we need to be better. And then when she realized that her sister was right, it was too late, and now she's like the bad guy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Look, it's no secret that most of us here on this network despise The Mandalorian as a series, and I think it's become pretty clear. We're continuously at a point where we're just questioning every decision they make with these characters, and I think it's pretty clear they fundamentally do not understand who these characters are, what they were supposed to be, and what this universe is.
Which is very stupid because, like, Dave Filoni, you know, he's supposed to know that stuff, but what is he doing? Is he just, like, you know, showing his belly to Jon Favreau and just listening and just being a yes man? I don't know what's going on, but, like, it's very interesting to see. It's not interesting. It's very baffling.
It's sad to see, Kyle, but I think you're right. I think that sounds exactly what's going on, because we have seen at this point years of Filoni material that he's written and directed in the animated realm that we loved and was spot on and felt exactly in this universe, and it enriched the universe. But ever since, like, he's, like, teamed up with Jon Favreau and has been in this live action space, it's like he's being led down the wrong path or something, because the episode he wrote and directed, The Jedi in season 2, which featured the live action debut of Ahsoka Tano, we had major issues with how Ahsoka was depicted in that episode. And he wrote that episode. So what's going on? Yeah. I don't get it.
And, like, Jon Favreau, I'm gonna be very, like, blunt and honest. Like, Jon Favreau, I have no doubt that he loves Star Wars, but I don't think he understands the property that he's, like, working with, and it's a fundamental difference that he's exuberating in his work, you know, and even to the point where Luke, you know, instead of giving him nuance and stuff like that, you give him the most, you know, wooden performance, you know, that you could do. I mean, it's just like all the decisions are made, you know, in the name of nostalgia, and nostalgia, nothing less, you know. And I think that a lot of people, like, feel that that's what Star Wars is, just nostalgia fodder, and it shouldn't be. Like, you take somebody, and I think that that's where a lot of people have their discrepancies against The Last Jedi, because this Luke Skywalker that they see is not based in nostalgia, it's based in character, you know. And so a lot of people, and so I feel like a lot of people fundamentally gravitate towards that, because you know, to tarnish, in quotations, tarnish, you know, an icon of your childhood, I think is really, really interesting in the way that it turns a phrase. In terms of where they're going, the trajectory of Mandalorian season 3, it looks boring. You know,
it's been boring though.
It's been boring, and also it's just, I mean, that's our perspective, right? But this, I would say, maybe to Kyle's point, looks even more boring than what came before the fact. I think you can easily see what's happening at the end of this.
And the thing is that I tend to be a Mandalorian, not a Book of Boba Fett. That was utter shit. But
I don't know, Kyle. I mean, the Mandalorian episodes in Book of Boba Fett received, what was it? Oh my god, the reaction those 2 episodes received?
Were like, no, fuck that. Anyway, I tend to be a Mandalorian apologist because I do like some elements and stuff from there. I mean, I think that the first episode of the second season, I think is phenomenal Star Wars content.
Episode.
I think that's probably one of the best examples of like taking.
But for me, it's like I can't like reason with the whole thing being good just because of one episode, because they've had 2 seasons already.
And the thing, but here's the thing, like even going back to the first season, I moderately enjoyed the first season. I'm not gonna lie, I moderately enjoyed it. I love the promise that it had of being a show about this guy learning, taking his toxic masculinity out of the equation. And I love that concept in season 1, and I wish that they continued on that. But no, they had to make it be a badass video game in season 2, which I feel dropped the ball in season 2. So like I don't know, like on paper, there should be a lot of good things, but no, they have to throw in, legacy characters and all that stuff, which they have no right to use legacy characters, because this was promised to be, when it was pitched to be its own thing. It was
Well, I think now that was a lie.
Well, yeah, obviously.
That was a bold-faced lie, because Favreau just cannot help himself. If he sees an opportunity to bring in a legacy character, he will do so without question. It's just, yeah, I get what you're saying, Kyle. It just seems like, from my standpoint, my perspective is, nothing about this show really interested me from the very beginning. Nothing. And as far as I know, there are a lot of people who love Jaren and who love Grogu and that feel a relationship there. I feel nothing. I just feel nothing for them, and I feel nothing when I see them on screen together. That's just the reality. That's for me. And I know I'm in the grand minority when it comes to that, and I'm in the grand minority when it comes to everything about this show. But it's just so infuriating to me, because this is the stuff that most Star Wars fans look to and call as like the shining example for what Star Wars should be. And they chastise everything else, or even not everything else, but the stuff that I happen to enjoy most in Star Wars, which happens to be the Rian Johnson. I mean, look at this. I think there is a case to be made that in the last few years, there has been a creator that deeply misunderstands who Luke Skywalker was. It just wasn't Rian Johnson. It was Jon Favreau. And yet, who's the one that gets attacked for misunderstanding Luke, quote unquote? I mean, supposedly.
But again, it's because they treat Luke in The Mandalorian and Boba Fett is they treat him like nostalgia fodder,
Yeah.
And that's where that's where you don't feel anything. He's just there to be a totem, and nothing more. And
but even then, like the way that they use him, it doesn't make sense.
This show has really just become like a hub for all of the things I hate about Star Wars, and also Star Wars fans. Let's just be real about that. So, I don't know. I guess we'll get it, but anyway. What else was it? Oh, I guess they had an Andor trailer.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say something good, which was we got to see, I at least was very excited to see pictures of Ashley Eckstein with
Hayden Christensen
and Ewan McGregor.
Yes, yeah. That was so cool.
This is the first time she meets Hayden, which I think is pretty cool. that when she said, "Oh, by the way, nice to meet you, Sky Guy," that got like a 2-minute standing ovation.
I can't.
In general, I think it was pretty nice to see both Ewan and Hayden being treated as the rock stars this celebration, where it seems like people just forgot they existed in a lot of the previous celebrations.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like, yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's one of those things. And not only that, but they're hamming it up. Like, everybody went nuts when they did the first round of interviews. And he said, Hayden, what would you say about all the, all the stuff that's coming up in Kenobi? And he said, very coyly, "This is where the fun begins." And just like everybody went, the house was rocked and what have you.
Okay.
And but yeah, I mean, just like Hayden getting, I think, the recognition that, that he rightfully deserves. I mean, let's be real. Like, the thing that we got from him in the prequels is not his doing. It's George's doing. So, like, he's not at fault for that, and the fact that people are like welcoming him, which is ridiculous that they kicked him out, but the fact that they're, embracing Hayden and Ewan and all that stuff, I think I think that's a civility that I think is like sorely needed in the Star Wars community.
Except it's not. Anything else before we move on to Obi-Wan Kenobi?
The
Andor trailer. Any comments about that? I didn't see it. I don't care about this show.
I liked it. I'm interested. But again, I being the Star Wars, nut job I am. What?
Let's be real, but let's be fair. I think everybody on this network, to an extent, is a Star Wars bitch. And I feel that's true because, well, we're about to talk about Obi-Wan. I think if you're a Star Wars bitch, a lot of the stuff that happened there will, it should eat you away, I would say. So we'll get into Obi-Wan in a minute right now. I guess as far as movie news, they said Taika's movie is next, which I can't wait to see, but that's still, I guess, is a few years away. They've also, I guess, said, oh yeah, Rian Johnson's is still into, yeah, right. I don't know why they, okay. I would like for that to be the case, but I don't think that's happening.
I won't believe it until I see a trailer.
Yeah, and also I guess Kevin Feige's Star Wars movie is still in development, so, and apparently Michael Waldron is writing that, which is interesting. Michael Waldron has kind of become,
and
I don't know
who else is attached to that project as well?
Who?
Mr. John Watts.
So, Michael Waldron was the writer for the Loki Disney Plus series, and then also he was the writer for the screenplay of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which, if you've listened to the podcast in this last month, some of us have huge issues with Waldron's writing at times. So, you said John Watts was going to direct that Kevin Feige movie?
Not direct. I think like he's I think producing and like co-writing and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it's so
right.
It's so funny. Okay. Like I read that and I'm like
all right. Now let's move on to something that's not so funny. And that is racist Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. I'm very happy, I would say, with Lucasfilm.
No, don't call them Star Wars fans because they're not.
Okay. Well, racist individuals who like to think themselves as Star Wars fans, we'll call them that. I'm very happy in this instance that Lucasfilm, Ewan McGregor, and a lot of the people are going out of their way to call out this bigotry, this misogyny, this racism now. I don't think they can ever make up for how horribly they abandoned Kelly Marie Tran and nameless others. Let's be real about that. But it's finally nice for a change for them to be ahead of it and punch down these.
Did you guys see the little like cockamamie freaking half-ass like celebration panel for Kelly Marie Tran at Celebration?
No.
Yeah, Kelly, she was at Celebration and she had like her own little little spot. You know how they have them on like the showroom floor, and there's this like the stage and stuff like that, and they do interviews and what have you, and Kelly Marie Tran and Billy Lord was there and stuff like that, and they were like, let's just give Kelly Marie Tran a round of applause, for being in Star Wars kind of thing. And like, I'm like, it was laughably embarrassing, I must say. It was just like too little too late.
This is why I think that,
wait, I need to be clear something first before we get off into all these different things. So I need to say what happened, right? So for those who are not aware, Moses Ingram, who plays Reva, the third sister on Obi-Wan, was the victim of several racist direct messages all over social media, and she actually, I love the fact that she just shared those with everybody. That way we can actually see, and people, it's more than just like we hear about it. No, we actually see the racist shit that she was sent. And I think that's what happened, but it should say a lot that this keeps happening with this fandom, so to speak, that whenever we have a minority of any kind be in this franchise, they're attacked. And by the way, so much so that Lucasfilm now trains their POC talent to be aware of the fact that they will be targeted because of what they look like for being in Star Wars. So that's where we are.
This is why what Kyle just said about Hayden Christensen, like, I think is kind of bullshit, because like he was kicked out because of people like that. Because of and because the people in Star Wars let that happen also. They didn't speak out for him. They didn't do anything for him. But now, because he's doing this, like, it's okay now. That, like, I don't, that doesn't sit well with me.
No, it doesn't. Not at all.
Yeah, the whole Kelly Marie, and like, it's not just her. Like,
no.
Literally this happened, like, how many years ago?
This has been happening to Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar Binks.
Billy D. Williams.
He was bullied for years.
That was horrible.
Jake Lloyd.
Yeah,
Jake
literally,
Lloyd.
I saw a tweet the other day that somebody said, like, we really bullied a kid. Like, he was a literal kid when this movie came out. And it wasn't even his fault. The kid was fine. Like, it's just...
Remember the whole George Lucas raped my childhood movement?
Yeah, it's good that they're speaking out on this, but it feels kind of bullshitty now.
It's ridiculous. Like, I mean, this thing goes like way back. It's like really deep seated. A lot of people, like, even when Billy D. Williams was Lando in Empire, everybody was like, "What the fuck is this? Why is this POC in my white dominated story?" So like it goes way back. Like,
yeah,
like we can't like stop but like address.
But the abuse continues to happen. Remember, John Boyega, there was this whole like uprise because how dare they have a black stormtroopers? There are no black stormtroopers in Star Wars. And I'm like,
have you seen underneath
and
the
like
armor?
Again, the fact that, like, yes, I'm not solely putting the blame on the people behind Star Wars, but they did let a lot of these things happen. And the fact that like Kelly Marie Tran got like, what, 10 minutes of screen time? Maybe even less, a minute? I don't even know.
She had 2 minutes.
Less than a minute.
She had 2
minutes.
minutes.
Okay. 2 minutes. Oh, excuse me, 2 minutes. She had a supporting role in one movie, and then she was like barely in the next movie. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Don't forget Daisy Ridley also was like was chased off social media.
Oh, by the way,
how dare they have a female lead in Star Wars?
By the way, Daisy, welcome back to Instagram. You are sorely missed.
It just, this keeps happening, like, and every single time there's, but it happens now, particularly with minorities.
Yeah.
Which sucks, and it shouldn't happen, but. Again, and I like,
but it's hardly surprising, right?
The thing that really touched me is like, this is the first time somebody has said it. Is when Ewan, and this is when this is when filming a video in your car actually made a good thing. And Ewan McGregor, he posted through the Star Wars. Did you not see this video?
Kyle, can you wait? What were you saying about that filming in
a car? You heard what I said.
I don't get it though.
Oh, he's talking about Ewan McGregor. I thought he was talking about us.
No, well,
no,
I mean, it could
but
be.
I still don't get it. But okay,
it could be anyway. A lot of apology videos are made in cars and stuff like that, and anyway, so. Ewan McGregor, he came out and did a video, and he said that, if you're going to be racist and bigoted in Star Wars, then you're no Star Wars fan as far as I'm concerned. And I think I think that is right on it, because like Star Wars is about hope, love, acceptance, and like that's what Star Wars is about. It's about compassion, through and through. And for those to take something that spreads that message and to turn it into like the most vile hatred, disgusting thing, I think it insults the name of Star Wars itself too. Aside from the obvious of racism and stuff like that. I mean, it goes against the entire thesis of what Star Wars is, and I strongly disagree with every single bit of it.
Yeah. So let's get into this Obi-Wan, shall we? Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is a show that I think collectively we've had such low expectations for. And yet I think just reading the room here and seeing like some of the reactions that we have shared with each other on our social media, it seems very much the case that not only have we been pleasantly surprised with the quality of what we have here, but we're actually thoroughly enjoying a lot of the decisions that involve these big characters. I would just want to point out one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It says something to me, not saying that this show is above criticism. It is not. And not saying that people do not have the right to pick it apart. They do. But if you're an individual who wholeheartedly loves every single decision that was made on Mandalorian and thinks that's the best Star Wars thing ever, I don't want to hear anything from you not liking this show. And that's just how I feel, because this show, quite frankly, very easily is the best live-action Star Wars show, and it's not even close. Like, it kind of blows everything out of the water. You feel the absence of one Mr. Jon Favreau here, because you actually feel like these are characters talking to each other about things that matters. You're not watching a show where like, hey, I'm an action figure video game character. Let's go on a fetch quest, and if you do this, I'll help you there. And that's the whole episode.
Characters aren't treated as NPCs,
Exactly.
And I think
you actually see characters. You actually see acting. You actually see something that is expressing some kind of emotion.
Yeah.
Deborah Chow should be in charge of anything and everything going forward with live action Star Wars. And Jon Favreau, the sooner you rid yourselves of him, the better, which is a shame because they won't. This is what happens when he is not involved in the writing or at all. You get a good show. Go figure.
Moreno, yeah.
That's the initial impression of this show, just based on the first 3 episodes, and then we can get into the actual moments that But Alexis, I am very curious to hear what you were expecting out of this, and then what you actually got.
No, I think we were all expecting another Mandalorian type of thing. I don't think it's a secret, though. I think we all literally were like, I mean, when you come out and you say that this is the showdown of Obi-Wan and Darth Vader.
The rematch of the century.
My apologies. Excuse me? What? Okay, that didn't make any sense to me. And don't get me wrong, I think that, there's still 3 more episodes. Our minds could change drastically with the next 3 episodes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, from the moment that they did that recap to the last moment of the 3rd episode, my mouth was opened. I was so happy.
Honestly, that's the only way to consume the prequels from now on.
I can't even. It's so good. It's so good. And I'm just so happy. Even if the next 3 episodes are not as good, I'm just so happy that we have this.
Yeah.
Because I very pleasantly surprised.
Dude, so was I. I was absolutely. I think I was the most skeptical of everybody because I think we all were.
I was not.
And you like Mandalorian. Like, we literally are.
No. I was expecting nothing
below the
from
ground.
this show. I wasn't even excited or looking forward to this. I was dreading
I was
this.
angry when they were describing the show.
Okay. All right. You believe what you guys want to believe. But, I was the most skeptical because the whole thing was pitching the idea of what is it? What is it? Oh, that's right. The rematch of the century, and what did
I just say?
No, but listen. That made me feel like, what are they? They're pretty much saying "fuck you" to A New Hope, which I did not like. I did not like that pitch whatsoever. So I think I was the most maybe not skeptical, but the most pissed that the show was going to exist. So that being said, here I was in COVID Eve one night. I put on the episodes because I'm like, I'm sick, I'm in bed, fuck it, why not, and so I put it on, and oh my god, like I was like, automatically I feel, this
you feel
I feel I'm feeling things. What is this? This feels good. And oh my god, Obi-Wan is not a badass right off the out of the gate.
Obi-Wan is broken?
He is broken.
What?
There's actual character, like he's going through an arc. He's going through stuff. He's actually going through stuff. A character going through stuff.
They're actually keeping up with the story?
There's actually keeping up with the story, and that makes sense for the trajectory that he goes on to with Alec Guinness. What? The camera work, it doesn't look like an LED mess. What's happening? Oh, the bad guys don't feel like cookie cutters. They feel like they're actually there to serve.
Scary.
They're there to serve a narrative purpose. Oh my god, Ewan McGregor's acting is fucking great in this. So I was like, what the hell? And then, oh my god. And then a certain plot line is happening in here that, number one, Peter messaged me, Kyle, you got your wish. And I was like,
Honestly, I wasn't going to watch it until like the next day, but then Peter sent that and I was like, okay, fine, I have to watch it. And then they released it early. The first 2 episodes were released early, like before midnight. I didn't go to sleep till like 2 a.m. that day.
It was the reason why they released it early was a strategical purpose because they just premiered the first 2 episodes at Celebration. So
Oh.
so they wanted to get around from spoilers and stuff like that. So they were like, okay, we gotta release it a little earlier. So
And maybe not also drop at the exact same moment as the
Stranger
behemoth
Things.
known as Stranger Things too, which shattered records this past the weekend of its debut.
running up the hill. Yeah, so like it I was like, yeah, a certain plot line happens, and I was like, at first I felt icky. At first I felt icky about this plot line because I'm like, oh no. Oh no. And then the more it went on, I'm like, oh yes. And then just tears and all that stuff. Oh.
Kyle, you need to be more careful with how you say certain things because Alexis just gave a look and I was like, yeah, I was thinking that maybe don't sound
Okay.
like that when you're talking about a child storyline here.
Hey, I'm trying to be discreet here.
There's no need for that. Everyone who has seen it, so by all means, spoilers. You're
Okay.
talking about Leia, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm talking about Leia, and the thing is that I've wanted to see like something done because like her whole entire like life on Alderaan is such a mystery. You know, I mean, the only thing that we've gotten are the books with Leia and Bloodline, and that's the only thing that we've gotten of Leia. You know, Leia's never given the proper spotlight that she deserves. But oh, Luke, fuck all for Luke, you know, kind of thing. And so I was absolutely, and the fact that we are going into this direction with Leia instead of Luke, I was absolutely dumbfoundedly on board
As
with
soon
it.
as I saw her, like as soon as I realized what was going on, I was like, okay, you have me. I don't care. It's so good. She's so good. Everything is so good.
I was scared. I was
honestly, because we got like a good chunk before they showed her,
Mhm.
and I was happy with what we were seeing.
Yeah.
And then we got her, and I was like, okay, like I'm kind of excited, like I'm giddy to see like what's happening, and also like the fact that they didn't say that this is gonna happen, and it literally came out of nowhere. Oh my god, I love
that was the biggest surprise out of this, and I'm surprised how well they were able to keep this plotline under wraps, especially in like all the because all the, you know, promotion that you see is just the first 2 episodes, you know. So I was pleasantly surprised to see how much they were able to keep from us, especially because like that is a huge portion of where we are going forward in the series. So I think that with the introduction, and oh my god, the actress that they got, the actor that they play, that plays Leia, what's her name? I'm trying to look for it. Vivian Lira Blair.
Oh my god.
Fantastic. She's fantastic. The only thing that I regret, unfortunately, is the fact that Carrie can't see her legacy and her legacy character still living in another actor, you know. And I think Carrie would have adored Vivian. You know, I would have, like, you could have easily see like the whole press tour, Vivian and Carrie like interviews and stuff like that, and you could easily see like that happening if, you know, had she still been with us, you know. And like, it doesn't, like, her character could easily just been, you know, out of place, make her too cutesy for the sake of being too cutesy. But no, she actually has her own fucking personality, you know, her own personality. And also, it's very reminiscent of how she portrayed Leia in episode 4, you know. So like, you feel like this is like the spiritual, you know, beginnings of Leia, and that, and oh my god, not only that, but like Bail Organa's we'll get into it later, but like that whole scene, another pleasant surprise, you know. And it just feels right. It feels organic, you know. It doesn't feel wooden.
Yeah.
You know, and I love the fact that Leia is getting the spotlight in this show and not Luke, because I'm tired of Luke Skywalker stories. I'm done with it. And the fact that Leia is getting the spotlight in this show, I think is like an absolute bonus of it. But yeah, and not only that, but like the interaction that she has between her and Ewan McGregor, I think their chemistry is absolutely on point and spot on. Yes. All right, that's all I have for now, until somebody addresses something else or wants to go into a different direction with the conversation. What did you feel about, like, when you found out that this thing is not going to go the way we think? Go.
Before we get to that, what were you thinking, Alexis? Because I know you watched it later than we did.
Yeah.
So when we were messaging, did you kind of get that we were enjoying it?
Yes, surprisingly so. So I was in a very remote area when all this was going down, so I couldn't really, or rather I was far more preoccupied drinking beer and other things than to watch Obi-Wan. So I was at the beach and everything. Ironically enough, I think it was Friday night. We were waiting for someone to arrive there, and my brother showed me the first part, I think the first 10 or so minutes. I didn't realize we had that great like service there. Again, very remote, but apparently we had T-Mobile and we had like perfect picture, like streaming quality. So we saw the first Obi-Wan stuff, and I was just kind of like amazed how quickly things just felt completely different, that you could feel the hands of somebody else, because you see Tatooine, and again, I'm very much tired of seeing Tatooine, but it's just funny. I thought, like, when I saw Tatooine, like, wow, it actually feels populated. And you watch Book of Boba Fett, and I'm like, it feels like cheap and small, and then there was no one there at that last battle. It felt like it was just like one like hallway or something, or this one like street that they were only there filming.
Yeah.
But it's very clearly
it was filmed here. Did you know that?
I think I did hear about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of it was filmed here.
And then a little bit of what you see in the third episode was filmed where we suspected that one scene from Mandalorian being filmed, but it was actually filmed.
And what is it? What did Peter call it though? In San Diego, or no?
San Bernardino.
Yeah. Pasadena.
Something, yeah. No, it was surprisingly subdued and reserved and melancholy in all the right ways this story should have been. And it kept going like, okay, it's ticking off the boxes where it's like, okay, this is what you do with this story. And then that was just the first 10 minutes. Then I saw the full episode while I was waiting in line to get back from Mexico on the border. And then I was just kind of like surprised, left and right, with like how well this was like holding up as a story that I was interested in. I was surprised with how effective that first Inquisitor scene was, how wonderfully it was acted, how it's setting up, Obi-Wan being very different than we remember him being. And off the bat, you're like, oh, wow. So this is a wonderful justification for this show, is we're with an Obi-Wan that is not, he's not what he was in episode 3, but he's not what he will become in episode 4. So, wow, we're telling a character arc here. Mm-hmm. It's been a while since we've gotten one of those. First of all, in Star Wars, so that's great to see. And then you get Leia, which I'm like, oh no, what's happening here? But then immediately it just washes away, because that actor that they got here, this is why Kathy is so wrong when it says, like, we're not going to recast original trilogy character actors, because look at what you got here. She was amazing.
Knocks it.
I cannot think of a better like home run as far as the debut is concerned. 3 episodes, and she does not come across the least bit annoying. She comes across exactly as Leia, just right there, in every little bit of dialogue they gave her, and her delivery is perfect. Everything with her is perfect. I cannot believe how good it is.
I can't believe people are complaining about her.
Oh, they can go fuck themselves. When she's on screen at all, it's great. But, her relationship with Bale, this is the best stuff Jimmy Smits has got to work with in anything he's been in Star Wars. I mean, honestly, but it's great to see him as a loving father. I love to see that relationship, Leia and Bale, who we've never really seen before. And then, but here's the brilliant part. She gets kidnapped. If you're going to have a story where you're going to force Obi-Wan
by Mr.
off of
Californication, nonetheless.
Okay. If you're going to have a story where you're going to force Obi-Wan off of Tatooine, this is the perfect justification for it. And then an even bigger surprise, a relationship you never thought existed before, Obi-Wan and Leia? And then to see how well those two work off each other, it just the more it goes on, these 3 episodes, the more you realize this is working really, really well.
Yeah.
How are they doing this? On paper, all the things that they do, you think to yourself, oh no, please stay away from this. Don't fuck this up. And yet, they're not. They're actually delivering on a story you didn't really think could work. And it is working. And it's adding layers and recontextualizing stuff of other Star Wars stories you didn't even think could have actually, been recontextualized. But it's adding more to a lot of the other stuff because, the idea that you have a relationship with Obi-Wan and Leia now makes you think, oh, that's why she stands up and is so excited in A New Hope, like Ben Kenobi.
Yeah.
And maybe Ben meant so much to her that she named her own son after him. Now that stuff makes sense. That's what you do with a good, legacy story. I'm loving this. This is great.
Because, I always wondered, why the name Ben was held so significant with Leia, in TFA. And the thing is that, now we have a reason. Because, I guess he could have drawn the conclusion that it's because of Ben Kenobi that her and Han met, but I feel like that was a superficial reason. And now we have something more deeper and all that stuff. And not only that, but the reminiscing that he has, on her mom, on Padme and stuff like that. Absolutely.
When she goes, "Are you my dad?" Oh my god.
Yeah. Man. Also, if you go back in canon, if you care about this sort of stuff, remember that in Return of the Jedi, she remembers images of her mom. And who else was in that room? Only one person was in that room, with her, and that was Obi-Wan Kenobi, So it's not a far stretch to imagine that she would think that too, So there just all these little things make sense within each other that I feel is probably the most organic story.
But even if you don't put that together, the fact that she thinks that he's her real dad because of the way that he looks at her, because of the way that he protects her, and you could feel that he would give her his own life for her. Love that.
Yeah, I love it too.
It's so good.
It's really good. There's only so many times we could say that, oh, this is so good, but but it's true. It's true. I haven't felt this alive in terms of a live action Star.
I sense something. A presence I've not felt since The Last Jedi.
Yeah. I have not felt.
We keep saying that, but we keep forgetting the Clone Wars.
Well, that's true.
In terms of a live action setting.
Okay.
Let's put
it there.
I guess feeling the Star Wars excitement, you're right. Since the finale of Clone Wars, I haven't felt this excited since then. I keep forgetting that happened too. But as far as the live action stuff, it's been really depressing. Let's be honest about that since Last Jedi. So to have something like this to be happy and excited about, it's just it's weird, and I'm happy for it. It's just cannot believe it. It really is.
Within me, just the Force truly has awakened.
Yeah, and think about this. There was a Vader and Darth Vader was superior, but there was a Vader and Obi-Wan.
Oh my god, we need to talk about that scene.
And I didn't hate it. I actually I thought it was pretty perfect, and I'm kind of surprised people are bitching about it. I cannot believe people are bitching about this series, and they couldn't come close to bitching about all the problems Mandalorian had. What the fuck?
I never understood. Oh, this is something I told David, that I never understood when people would say, oh, that Darth Vader was the scariest villain, like this and that. Because I never truly got that from any of the things that I saw or that we have seen. The only one that kind of came close was Rogue One, but even then, that wasn't scary. That was cool. But the scene where he's walking around town, he fucking cracks that kid's neck, like, and you can feel, like, that you're, like, about to get shit done. I don't know, like...
Excellent.
That was
excellent
terrifying. That was so scary. And then another thing that I really enjoy about the show that I also told David is that we know what's going to happen. We know the outcome of the story because we've seen it. It was the first thing that we saw in Star Wars. But the fact that, like, you feel like something might change, or, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you kind of think, like, oh, maybe it's not actually going to happen that way. Or, like, oh, maybe he's going to survive.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's...
The fact that
it feels so good.
The fact that it's making you question the outcome is
in a
testament
good way.
Itself. And the way that, you know,
it's like when you watch Titanic, and when
you know that the boat is going to sink, but
when the boat hits the iceberg and you're like,
maybe just a little bit this time. Maybe they'll like, make it this time. Yeah.
That's
maybe
what
the
it
boat
feels
won't
like.
Sink. Yeah, but then it sinks anyways. Yeah. I mean, it's so good, and also like the presence that you feel with Vader, I think is absolutely. I mean, you feel it. If there was a time for Vader to seem scary and intimidating, it would be this, because you feel Obi-Wan's dread, you know, and also that look. Oh my God, like this broke my heart. Like of everything that broke my heart is when Reva, I think that's her name, when she says that Anakin Skywalker is still alive, and you see that look that Obi-Wan has, and then when they go back on the ship at the end of episode 2, you see him say Anakin, like in a way that it's kind of reminiscent to where you have Ahsoka saying that in Rebels, you know, when she feels that his presence is still there. And the fact that you could see like the pain in Ewan's eyes is so incredibly done. Like, and you feel like this relief, you get this sense of regret and utter like fear. You have those three emotions being conveyed all at once in Ewan's eyes that I think delivers what makes this show stand out above the other live action Star Wars shit.
I mean, look, very clearly here, Deborah Chow is telling a story, and I think she understands in a way that Jon Favreau will never understand how you tell a story with an actually interesting character and not make them one note. Because what you see here is you have an Obi-Wan who very much has been, dwindled down in a way from his spirit has been, whittled down since Revenge of the Sith, so much so that we see him in just a first episode making a lot of decisions that would seem quite questionable if you're a fan of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And that's just, the circumstance of being a Jedi in this day and age. He has to really turn his back on even a fellow Jedi who indirectly, ends up, dying because Obi-Wan refused to help, cover for him or help him hide somewhere. And he couldn't jeopardize, giving shelter to anybody because that would jeopardize Luke.
Yeah.
And then even then, I think the more important
you see, the boy must be trained when the time comes.
Right. The more important moment, I would say, that I think really made it crystal clear that there was somebody else behind the camera here and who wrote this script. And I think also, sells home this point that I'm making even further, was when Bail first calls Kenobi on Tatooine.
Yeah.
And informs him that Leia has been kidnapped. And, I'd say, Bail made it very clear and was very heartfelt in his plea for Obi-Wan to get off this rock and go help her. And you could tell on Obi-Wan's face, like, he felt very much bad and sorry about it, but he made a decision, like, I
agreed to take the boy.
I don't have it in me anymore. That's part of it too. But then also, my bigger responsibility is to him. I'm sorry. I can't do it. And this is probably not the same choice. No, this is not the same choice. Obi-Wan
would have like hopped onto the closest vessel and just taken off,
But think about what that represents, Kyle. That is an acknowledgement of the person behind the camera that, yes, characters do change over time. Yeah. They do not stay in static. They do not stay the same throughout it. And if Jon Favreau, Mike my words, if Jon Favreau wrote this episode, there wouldn't have been a question. You would have seen a shot of Obi-Wan getting his lightsaber all badass and getting on some kind of, maybe, I don't know, some X-Wing or some
That Jedi
shit,
would have never shown up.
No. Yeah. He would have, there wouldn't have been a question. Obi-Wan would have gotten on a ship and left that moment.
Yeah.
But instead, Deborah Chow thought, you know what? Let's make this more interesting.
Also, you would have
Let's actually have Bail come in person and persuade him to go do it and get him back in the fight.
And like it's so telling that, if also Jon Favreau was involved in this, he would have ignited the lightsaber in the first episode. But the thing is that the lightsaber is used so sparingly in this, even
as it should be, because he should be reluctant to ignite it. He shouldn't want to have it.
And I feel like that's where like the word lightsaber is so like impactful and like a lightsaber means something in this show.
Yes.
And
he could have so easily have used that saber to ward off all the adversaries he was like, going off against, but he didn't need to. He didn't want to.
Like the fact that we only got, at least in the first episode, him like moving his robe and that it's there. Like that was the only, and then like when he like dug it up and stuff, which also like is a big meaningful thing.
Yeah, because like he wants no part of it. Like that's symbolic of like him wanting no part of the fight whatsoever.
They literally say like the lightsaber is like an extension of a Jedi, and he
cut that
him
off.
digging it up. Yeah.
Also, for you canon Nazis out there, that's a very consistent example of canon, because Ahsoka and other Jedi who, fled or trying to cover up that they survived Order 66 did that with their lightsabers. They just left them at a burial site or just buried them completely.
Yeah.
Which is so sad.
Yeah.
And like even just like the small little details that we see all throughout, like we see the stormtrooper like just like there like out in the street. I think like for me, like one of my favorite parts, which a lot of people complained about, which doesn't make any sense to me, when he is catching Leia. Sorry, my dogs.
That's okay.
When he catches Leia using the Force when she falls down, you could see how painful it is for him. You could see that he, like, how much he hesitated to use it. You can see that, like, he has not used it in a very, very, very long time. And, like, the fact that he looks like he's in pain because it's, like, a muscle that he hasn't used. And people are like, oh, why didn't he, like, do it before? Why, like...
What do you mean, why he didn't do it before? People, this is another example where Star Wars fans do not understand storytelling 101. There is obviously a lot more going on with him. Look, there's a lot more acting going on with his facial expressions in that first episode than a lot of other Star Wars properties have. Let's just be real about that. There's a lot more being said on his face than dialogue can ever do justice. That's just the reality of it. But what you were saying, there was always a lot more going on.
Yeah.
With him refusing to use that lightsaber, refusing to use the Force than just, I got to be careful not to be caught. No, it was...
There's more to it.
Obi-Wan feels as if the Order of the Jedi have just failed completely.
Yeah,
like he very much is in the same spot that Luke was in Last Jedi. Hello.
And not only that, but like, again, it's like poetry. It rhymes. Where we get with Luke is that Luke, not only does he like reject the whole entire Jedi Order, but the guilt that he feels, I think is...
You could tell how much everything that happened has taken a toll on him.
Yeah.
Like, he said to that Jedi, the time of the Jedi has passed.
Yeah, I'm sure he feels, especially now that he knows what Anakin became, like, I'm sure he feels, like, so much pain and so much regret and so, I'm sure he feels like the weight of the world is on his shoulders. Yeah.
The burden and responsibility of being one of the faces of the Jedi,
Yeah.
And also it's like you look at the legacy of Luke Skywalker when we come to him in The Last Jedi, and you know how he has like this whole big name and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure that the name Obi-Wan Kenobi is not a name to be sneezed at,
Yeah.
because like that the name Obi
they even mention it in the show.
Yeah, and then when the guy said, "What's happened to you?" And because like that's not the Obi-Wan I would know, that wink wink hint hint, people watching the show.
Some people are just too thick, aren't they?
And he said, it's literally there in the show. What's happened to you? And he said, the Jedi failed. It's time to move on. I mean, nonchalant.
Which is, that's the truth,
Yeah.
right? Like,
yeah,
that's what literally happened. The Jedi Order collapsed in large part of their own doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like literally,
which
his
is why,
whole
by the way,
world was
exactly.
this thing, and it kind of is like we weren't what we thought we were.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of caused all of this to happen in a way.
Exactly.
And we've caused so much pain and
yes,
destruction to the world. Like how can people look at him and be like, no, this is not. This
and
is
not
not.
only that,
but you know what else this really
highlights? Wait, and also like if you have like 10 years of isolation, living in all that stuff, you are gonna reflect on a couple of things. Leave yourself with your own thoughts for too long.
I mean, look at literally like that's what happened when we were in lockdown. Look at all the shit that we like has come from being in COVID lockdown.
Yeah,
like. You know what I mean? Like, how do people not connect these things? Alexis, continue. Sorry, we kept cutting you off.
No, it's fine. I think what this also does is it really shines a light on a glaring inconsistency here. What we all just spoke to with like, where Obi-Wan is with his arc right now and his feelings toward the collapse of the Order.
Mm-hmm.
Luke and Ahsoka are characters that also understood that, and we've seen that express that point of view in their own stories, whether it be in the Siege of Mandalore arc with Ahsoka or with even in Return of the Jedi with Luke. But I think the glaring inconsistency is how both of those characters are handled in Mandalorian and in Book of Boba Fett, especially when they both are characters that have a history of like understanding why it was the Jedi failed, and yet in Book of Boba Fett, both of them seem to be propping up that old order with this whole like no attachments bullshit, which only go ahead like it reinforces to me that Jon Favreau doesn't understand these characters or Star Wars at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I want to talk about the duel. I think the duel is some of the most impressive Star Wars lightsaber work in terms of like where we are, because like the thing is that like we obviously talk about the prequels and how like calculated and very very choreographed it feels, but but like this is what made I loved when we saw. I compare this fight to where we are with Kylo and Rey when we see them two in The Force Awakens. It's not Obi-Wan is completely playing on the defensive side. he is completely out of shape, as we could clearly tell.
He's a bit winded.
He's a bit winded. Yeah, he's getting a little bit old. As Leia lovingly says, you look old enough to be my grandfather. But I digress. It is such a raw, almost spiritual a fight that we see between them, because you see Vader and he's just pure rage and pure, and all that stuff, and here you have somebody who's afraid to confront their own power, which is Obi-Wan, and that's what Rey was, because Rey, she barely discovered her own power, and this is all new to her. She's scared to use what she has, she's scared of what it could do, versus you have, and she's being, thrown into the wolves with somebody with just pure hate and rage, and I think that is so fascinating, where I feel like this is like this duel I feel is quintessential Star Wars lightsaber work because of that, because the thing about the duel is that it wasn't supposed to be this badass fight between two people. No, the way that George Lucas pointed it out is that this is supposed to be a spiritual, when people fight with a lightsaber, it's supposed to be a spiritual experience for both of them, because you have the two characters and they're just you have the yin and yang at each other at all times. So I don't know, I think the duel, what do you guys think of the duel?
I agree. No, it was really good. It was really good in the fact that it wasn't a good fight for Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
It's how I said earlier, like, you just feel everything that Obi-Wan is feeling, and that's good, because it means that it's working. It means, like, you understand, at least some people understand, why it went the way that it did. You understand the hate that Darth Vader has towards him. Like, he literally set him on fire.
Yeah. If we know Anakin, how long has he been planning that?
And like, even like the little like remarks that they throw at each other when he's like,
what have you become? I am
what you made me. That was such like a dig at him. And that like Obi-Wan like felt it too,
because he feels so much regret.
Yeah.
He feels so much regret, and to throw that "I am what you made me" just as like that callous diss, I think it's so good. And also James Earl Jones is back, baby. He's so good at it. I don't know what they're doing with like the voice editing, because he actually did come in. A lot of people think that they did the Luke Skywalker technology from Book of Boba Fett. No, he was actually in studio. They just synthesized it to match with what he sounded like in the original trilogy, and that's what they use that technology for.
But it's the same technology that they use to crap out the AI. The AI technology that crapped out the Luke Skywalker lines and the other appearances, it's the exact same technology.
But here they're utilizing it beneficially.
What happened here, James Earl Jones did record lines. Mark Hamill also recorded lines here. But let's not fool ourselves here. That's not what James Earl Jones sounds like today. We know that because we also heard his dialogue that he recorded in Rogue One, and we also the much more recent Lion King, where he came back as Mufasa. Yeah. James Earl Jones does not sound like that, because what you heard there was original trilogy era Darth Vader. They very much did use the technology to make it sound more like that, and I thought it worked a lot better here than with Luke, if only because, Darth Vader doesn't have a mouth that, you have to, like, sync the words to.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and look at the Luke work with Book of Boba Fett, it's kind of out of sync a lot of the times when they're not. That's why they have to, like, cut away whenever Luke is talking, because it's just not going to sync up with it. But
it's like Dr. Malcolm says in in Jurassic Park. You know, they spent all this time wondering if they could, that they didn't even consider whether or not they should. You know.
Yeah. Look, the lightsaber element of Star Wars is a fascinating intersection because a lot of people expect very different things out of like the use of lightsabers and lightsaber duels particularly. And again, that goes back into how like people see Star Wars as very different things. The over choreographed, super cool, like action-y lightsaber duels are byproducts of the prequels. And I think a lot of people, myself included, are very much dazzled by those. But I don't think any single one of them had the, like...
It's not what makes it interesting.
Well, you know, when you look at the original trilogy, like, duels, they're not, like... From a choreography standpoint, they're not the most impressive, but they're everything they needed to be for those films and for the emotion of it, and overall enhances the storytelling and the way in what is supposed to be the whole point of those characters in the first place. It pushes the story forward. And here, what was really interesting about it was I felt like what we saw here was, once again, like in service of the story, in service of the characters, and quite frankly, all of what it needed to be. If there are people out there that were disappointed that it wasn't more actiony or more choreographed, then I think they fundamentally misunderstand a lot of things, first of all. They misunderstand what Star Wars is. They misunderstand where these two characters are in this moment in time. And they misunderstand what was overall the point from Deborah Chow in this. So clearly, what happened here was...
I was scared that we were going to get a big, flashy lightsaber fight.
Well, again, hold our breath, right? We have 3 more episodes to go. So let's be real about that.
I mean, at least by then he'll be a little bit warmed up.
Sure, that's the thing here. Look, a lot of people don't seem to remember, like, we just saw him dig up a lightsaber. He hadn't picked up a lightsaber in a decade.
The last time.
Like, layman's terms... Like, you're going to be rusty. That's not, I think, a complicated concept to grasp, people. It shouldn't be. Even if you're a master, and again, somebody who cut himself off from the Force, you are going to be weakened by it. That just makes the most amount of sense, right? So you are going to be relatively weak compared to a Sith Lord who has been murdering people on a daily basis for a decade. Like, that can't be hard to grasp, first and foremost. Okay? So clearly, Vader wiped the floor with Kenobi, and in retrospect, that's obviously what it should have been. On top of the fact that Kenobi had no interest.
He did put up a fight. Like,
sure, but at first Kenobi had no interest in engaging with him because he's still trying to grasp with, oh my god, I created this monster. When Vader approaches him and you have the lightsaber lit up and he's finally
in shock.
getting to see what he's become. He's in shock. Mm-hmm. He's ashamed. He has all this guilt. Like, he can't, like, in his mind get around the idea of facing off against this monster that in so many ways he's responsible for. Yeah. And so him running away from that is running away from the idea that he's responsible for this. This is not difficult to grasp, also, people. It's right there.
He doesn't ignite the lightsaber out of...
He just runs. I was laughing. He just runs.
Out of being like...
all right.
He was like, fuck this.
The only time he ignites it is when he's scared. You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's so incredible. That's so incredibly well done. You know?
Also, Vader was holding back people.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Clearly,
he was holding back.
He was toying with him. Because this is his prize, like, you know, cut of prime rib, shall we say, right?
He's taunting him. He's like, I know this isn't... Yeah.
Has your mother ever told you not to play with your food?
This was so easily there in the text. Like, if people can't pick up on what is there, this tells me, and this is also, it establishes a pattern. Many of these Star Wars fans have no idea how to read the text of what is there in the storytelling, which then reinforces why so many of them, a lot of the actual, like, stuff that was in the text of The Last Jedi went over their heads. To me, it is fine if you don't like the arc that Finn has in Last Jedi. You're more than welcome to not like it. But the fact that so many can't even detect that an arc was there in the first place, again, just reinforces that by and large, a lot of these fans, it is explained. It is right there on screen.
Yeah.
And you still have questions, and you still like, wait, how did this make sense? And like,
it's honestly
hopeless. You are hopeless, child. Absolutely hopeless.
Obviously, this isn't the only time that we're gonna see them go at it. There is concept.
Obviously not.
There is concept art of them fighting on Mustafar. So
also we see Mustafar.
Like the edgelord Vader is.
But I still, even then, like, yes, I think you will see a much better choreographed fight in the end of it. But I don't think people, I think, are fooling themselves if they believe for a second you're going to get anything close to what the prequels look like.
Yeah.
It's got to be close to what this looked like or what A New Hope was. And I know that a lot of people like dunk on A New Hope having like the worst lightsaber duel. It was the first one.
That's the most interesting
Obviously,
to
but
me.
like,
I think that's the most interesting duel.
But they're two old men. That's the thing, and people don't seem to grasp that here.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah, people are so dumb. But I will say it was deliciously petty of Vader to like ignite those flames with that lightsaber and to like, and now you're gonna feel what you put me through, bitch. And then he just like marinated him in those flames. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I loved it.
Yeah. Oh my god, the way that he contorted Obi-Wan with the Force, I think was absolutely like, ugh, give me the heebie-jeebies.
I was like, what's gonna happen
Also,
here?
Yeah,
might I
yeah.
add the physical acting that Hayden Christensen is putting in this show, because like the way that he moves in that Vader outfit, I think is incredible work.
I love it. I love it. And it also, it reminds me, this whole, I think, a series with that episode in particular, it does remind you why Darth Vader remains such a beloved character. It reminds you, maybe even more than we've ever seen represented in live action, how terrifying he can be. Mm-hmm. The way that he was just like killing people left and right, and it was just walking. What I love, this one little detail.
Sorry.
Wait, this one little detail with Obi-Wan when he just runs and he's running. I love how Vader he doesn't run, he just walks. Kind of reminds me of Michael Myers in a way, because Michael Myers, you never see him run. He just walks to his prey.
Yeah.
Because he knows he's going to get him in the end. And that, I think, adds to the whole scare factor of this version of Vader.
Oh, and also like the tactics that he uses to like, that we see before, like him turning off his oxygen. Mm-hmm. To stalk his prey, because we don't hear him. Like that's the dead giveaway of where he is. But just little details like that, I think, are really
Alexis,
good.
you were saying?
I forgot.
Oh, sorry.
I forget.
The like the scene in the town, like that was very calculated on his part, because he knew that Obi-Wan was there. He knew that he was watching him. So he's like, you know what? I'ma just turn up the notch a little bit and do all this. You know, like, because I don't think that he would have done it if he wasn't there.
No.
But
he
you know,
felt
he
it the
did
minute
it
he thought he was there.
He was.
Yeah.
Ooh,
exactly.
That feeling that Obi-Wan had when he realized, oh fuck, he's here.
Yeah.
Good shit. Oh,
I mean, it almost it seemed like he was suffocating.
Also, this moment makes me kind of tear up. How he constantly like has that desperate plea to Qui-Gon throughout the show when he's saying master, you know, and I love that, like, because he's scared, and who else are you gonna, like, it's like somebody who's talking to a deceased parent, you know, and praying and doing all that shit. I mean, it feels like he's just trying to find a sense of comfort, you know, and because he doesn't know what he's doing. Obi-Wan has zero clue of what he's doing, and neither did Luke, you know? And so that's why I find like his constant like callings out to Qui-Gon throughout the whole entire thing absolutely more tragic. You know, it's not there just to like say, hey, look, it's Qui-Gon, remember him? Oh, by the way, we're definitely going to see
I'm ready.
Liam Neeson
I don't know if we'll see him. I think we'll hear his voice. I'm
care.
skeptical if
Anything.
Liam Neeson. I don't
just
care.
want
But
something.
Liam Neeson gave his voice to the Clone Wars. He'll be back here.
Yeah.
Voice anyway. If it's, we may see a flashback. Who knows?
Okay, to rehabilitate, he's going to go into a bacta tank. We're going to see some flashbacks. We're going to see some fucked up flashbacks, I think. And it's
what? A la Book of Boba Fett? Because then he was in a back to tank like half the show, and then the half the show was like flashbacks.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, look, it was so fascinating. A lot of the other stuff that was, here.
Because it's so
that.
go on.
Go ahead.
Because it's so
No, you go.
interesting. Because like several media outlets, like official media outlets for Star Wars, have put out that of like necessary watchings, a necessary watch list before you watch Obi-Wan, and one of them was a Satine episode. So
I mean, as it should be, right?
So we're probably gonna get something out of that. Yeah, oh my god. Moreno. They get Nicole Kidman to play Satine.
I would be so happy. My whole world would just be one now.
But oh my god, like it's such a good like show and all that stuff. Obviously, okay, like the way that we leave off Leia at the end, she's gonna get kidnapped by Reva. I think.
Yeah.
You guys think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like that's the cliffhanger
I
here,
think-
and that Obi-Wan's going to be forced to come back and save her.
That's probably why they go to
Mustafar.
Yeah. Which is wild. Leia and Mustafar. That's crazy.
I think a development that's going to happen here. I think Reva also plays a part in all of this.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, by
Someone-
the way, that was a really interesting start of the show. Considering what happened that week.
That's right. Yeah. The Order 66 thing.
Except it's not laughable, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think that scene was laughable like other presentations of Order 66.
Like the Order 66 flashback we got in Book of Boba Fett,
yeah.
where Luke was like, let me share you your past trauma and let you relive
Yeah.
Oh my god.
it. David brought up something interesting where we could see that happen here, but in a proper way, where what if Obi-Wan like uses the Force to, bridge forth images of Padme to Leia?
Mm.
Now that would be a really interesting way, like maybe a more proper way of like using that particular method. I'm thinking, look,
But I mean,
you've got
there's a
Yes.
difference between like memories that people have and Force user memories.
I know. I'm thinking also Leia is maybe she's not showing it yet, but let's be real here. Leia is the daughter of Anakin, the daughter of Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
She has now been captured by Inquisitors, and she's going to go to Darth Vader's castle, presumably. How long until the fact that she's Force sensitive is revealed? And to who?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not good. Or there's another element, which is, what if someone pieces together why it was Kenobi was on Tatooine?
Like why particularly her, and why, like, I mean, after he rescued her and she escaped, like, that should be it. That should be his, like, saying, oh, I failed, she's taken by Vader now, kind of thing. Like, why is he going through, hell and back to try to get her back, kind of thing. And that raises the question of, like, the importance of, like, the insignificance that I think is really, I don't know, but I'm scared. I'm obviously scared for her.
But I'm excited too. Like, I
yeah.
should have looked forward to,
Yeah.
3 more up.
Finally, Disney Plus delivered a really good Star Wars show.
Yeah.
And all it had to do was remove Jon Favreau entirely from the equation. Who would have thunk it?
Finally, some good fucking food. I'm loving this. I'm reveling in Star Wars again, and it's absolutely refreshing. It's absolutely refreshing. It's good. Missed you, I have. You know. But yeah, Kenobi. It's good. I always thought that the proper Kenobi show should have been the whole Maul situation. But honestly, if we're gonna subdue that and get this, bring it on.
Oddly, this feels much more appropriate than that Maul, I think, thing would have been. Because I know Maul had a lot of connection with Kenobi. That's true. But a lot of the stuff that's happening here feels like a very important Star Wars story.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way that a lot of the other stuff just doesn't quite really matter all that much. Like, I feel like if I'm going to do... It's been a long time since I've done like a rewatch of...
Rebels?
A lot of Star Wars things at once. No, a lot of Star Wars things. Not just Rebels. I mean everything.
This will be added to the list.
Yes. Basically. This would be added to a list of a must-watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like episodes 1 and 2 are must-watch as well, but they're so not... Maybe you can see them on in the background, but... Because, like, they're important to the story, but then also not really, and it's like, whatever. Because then, yeah. It's a whole different thing. I have not seen every single, like... Has anyone here, like, bothered to rewatch episodes 1 through 9 in order?
No.
No. I haven't.
No.
Well, you don't need to watch episode 1 through 3 because they provide a brilliant recap at the beginning of Kenobi. So you don't need to spend all of those hours watching the prequels.
But isn't that also something to add on to what you said earlier, Kyle? Or Alexis? I think Alexis was making the claim that, you know, Star Wars fans have always just been so full of shit with, like, you know, the people that they've, like, abused. And then, like, they turn back around and, like, you know, welcome them with open arms. So, I'm sorry about that, but now you're okay. This whole idea of, like, the Star Wars prequels, like, being okay and cool now with the inner, like, Star Wars crowd is just so... Like what Alexis said, it doesn't sit right with you because it's... Look, the prequels were never good movies. No one is saying that. But as, you know, in usual Star Wars fan fashion, they went well beyond... the realm of what was acceptable to
make that
in terms
known.
of like in terms of the criticism they dished out. Again, Jake Lloyd, Ahmed Best, George Lucas himself was like
they burned George
the things
Lucas
that he said
at the
about that
stake.
man.
Yeah,
And it was never okay. And for them to like say, well, you see, well, I don't know what it was now, but like I'm happy for people who are our age that always liked those movies. I'm happy for them that now those films are like more loved, but at the same time, it just reminds you that there are always a segment of people in this fandom that are so overtly toxic, and that behavior is never okay. But that cycle keeps happening.
Yeah. I agree. And I would start my watch with the Clone Wars. I would not watch episode 1 or 2.
Which Clone Wars, though? Would you put on the Clone Wars movie?
No. Yeah.
Because the Clone Wars is not particularly good, but then again, it introduces Ahsoka.
Yeah. No, I would watch the whole thing. Because, well, that's my favorite Star Wars anything, so.
The Clone Wars, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I mean, the whole series, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's some really good Star Wars shit in there, so, like...
Some of the best ever. Alexis, did you ever go back and read anything of the ancillary material that was released after the original iteration of the series was canceled? Cause like there was Son of Dathomir, the comic book, which was like what happened to Maul after he was captured by Emperor Palpatine that you never saw on the show. There was also the novel Dark Disciple, which showed what happened to Asajj Ventress and her relationship with Quinlan Vos, who we got a shout out here in this episode. that Quinlan Vos was basically helping save passage to people. Basically, the Jedi version of the Underground Railroad, basically, so to speak.
Oh,
I want to read the Dark Disciple one. Right
There's
now,
an audiobook.
I'm reading
You can do that one.
the Leia one.
Oh, that's right.
What's it called? Bloodline?
I think so.
Bloodline is one of them. Yeah,
that's the
there's
one.
also another one. There's also the Ahsoka book that came out,
Yeah,
which
I
was
read
like
that
what
one.
happened to her.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Those are written
Of
by
course
the
I read
same
that.
people, right? E.K. Johnston, I think that's her name.
E.K. Johnston. I don't know. I'm not too sure. I know E.K. Johnston did the novelized version of Dark Disciple, which I thought was amazing. The stories themselves, because the novel Dark Disciple is based off 8 scripts that were supposed to be 8 episodes. It was a big arc for Asajj Ventress in the Clone Wars, which were written by Katie Lucas, who also wrote all the Asajj Ventress stuff in most of the Clone Wars series.
Katie Lucas, any relation to George?
That's her. That's his daughter.
Oh shit! Okay,
Yeah, that's his daughter. Yeah, Katie Lucas wrote a lot of the Asajj Ventress stuff,
pretty
starting with
fucking
I think the Night Sisters arc
Nice.
in season 3. Yeah.
that's fucking cool.
Mm-hmm. And can you believe she's not been asked to come back and work more?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
What are they doing? Oh my god, these people.
Claudia Gray has written so many great novels. Can we have her write a script for an episode or something? Hello?
However, I hate to compare apples and oranges, but it is very possible. Sometimes book writers don't translate well to screen.
No, not necessarily. And you're right, because we have the example with
She did the Ventress stuff.
Well, okay, to be clear, Claudia Gray has so far only done novels, right? She has not written a screenplay for, episodes or whatever.
Yeah.
Katie Lucas did write the scripts for the TV episodes. Katie Lucas did not go on and do the novelized version of her scripts. E.K. Johnston did. And I think E.K. Johnston, I think Kyle was right, also wrote the Ahsoka book. Let me...
I think she did.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, I just need to look behind me. It was right there. So yeah, that's where we have 3 people involved: E.K. Johnston, Claudia Gray, and Katie Lucas, all of which are very talented and should be, But Kyle is making the point that not necessarily a great novelist makes for a great screenplay writer. You are right. The problem though is, I think it's a lot easier to do it for the TV episode, just one episode, just to, to cut your teeth and try it out. J.K. Rowling went from writing books to writing movies. That's
a big leap.
Quite the leap. Yeah.
Yeah, but like the thing is that she's also like, whether credited or not, she also like produced the whole entire Harry Potter series, so she knows how the sausage is made, so I wouldn't consider it that big of a leap, just on that merit alone. But yeah,
I mean, I think evidently it was, because look how bad the movies that she wrote were. So clearly there was something that was an issue
I
there.
had heard that this one was going to be slightly better because the guy who did the script for the Harry Potter movies worked on this one, didn't he?
Apparently.
Wow. I'm far more confused than I was before, so...
Sorry. Yeah, but this fucking show... To quote the man himself, it's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's absolutely brilliant. I have no complaints whatsoever so far. We mentioned Quinlan Vos, O'Shea Jackson, I think Jr. I think that's his name. Ice Cube's son. He's set to be in this show. I guarantee you, he's playing Quinlan in this.
Maybe.
That's my prediction. I love this show. I'm happy to be a Star Wars fan again. You know, it's so nice. It's so nice to be. It's good to be back. You know, as it were, and I can't wait for the next 3. I can't wait. Like I get.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But I mean, the way that it's going so far, I mean, halfway through, it's pretty well done. So I have faith. I have faith that it's gonna be good for the rest of the duration. I don't know. What do you think, Moreno?
I think so too. I hope. But either way, like I said in the beginning, I'm happy with what we have. And if the rest don't work out, I'll just watch the first 3 again.
Yeah. Basically, that's where I'm at as well. Okay. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you, Kyle, and thank you, Alexis, for being on this wonderful podcast. As a reminder to everyone else listening at home, we've got a lot of content coming up with for you in the coming weeks. When Peter comes back, we'll talk about Stranger Things 4. Maybe we'll also get into Top Gun Maverick, and then Jurassic World, Dominion, and then also Lightyear. And don't forget Thor or Love and Thunder is also around the corner. And whatever else might be dropping. There's also, I think, Miss Marvel. So there's a lot of content happening. And we'll be here to cover as much as we possibly can here on Red Spotlight. Stay under our spotlight for more content. Every Sunday, there's a new podcast here on Red Spotlight. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.